I was interested in Hendrik Saker's decision that Sino-Tibetan was related to Athabascan.
I think he was known as the great masturbator in his young years. And bracket stories have told me that he would keep copious amounts of semen at all his showings.
Right.
Story's bullshit.
And it's funny, at this point, I don't know what is fact or what is fiction and what is, Harry propagated all of those stories. And I know that he had a special affinity to women, certain women, and that was very strong.
Asexual or?
But, so he ate the Berber's rice cereal with olive oil and different things thrown in, maybe sardines sometimes, he liked sardines. He had a real affinity for matches, herring, and sour cream towards the end. And I've heard about 3 different weird stories concerning matches, herring, and sour cream since his death.
Was one of the features in both languages is a series of imprintings that indicate what the shape of an object is, whether it's hollow, whether it's flat, and so forth. So, it's like saying that all humans have heads on them. The idea of having a head migrator.
Copious amounts of mucus, which he had kept in vials for scientific observation.
Listen to this. You must really listen to this.
The first time I met Harry, I was supposed to pick him up at the airport. His flight got there 20 minutes
Do I have
early.
to scream too? I do every time I open it. I could pass out from the smell. Okay, you ready?
Hold it on, ready.
Okay. I really am I hate to look inside.
Houses tend to have eyes and mouths. Be sure to take any personal property with you.
Oh my God! The smell is incredible.
And I was going through the airport, and there was thousands of people there, literally. And I was looking around to see who could possibly be Harry Smith. And so I saw this man, and I came up to him and I said, "You're Harry Smith, right?" And then he said, "Oh, what do we have here? A certifiable instance of psychic phenomena." He said, "Maybe we should call a CPA and have it certified." He said, "Do you perform better in cages in the circus, or do you do better out in public like this?"
Now, what was the question?
There are less happy stories. The one that Robert Gardner told me, that he enticed into a group of heavy drug takers and black-jacketed motorcycle types in the Chelsea Hotel. Gardner's niece, the daughter of his sister, a poet living in the hotel at that time, and he really, despite every attempt that she made with this pre-teenager to keep her free from the charms, which we all know, of Harry Smith, she was enticed into that group and found raped and chain whipped into a coma, where she still sits in that hospital that takes lifetime coma cases back east.
When you met him, he was a man. Now he is a postage stamp. You can't open the window. This is Dallas. They took my billiard table. Mary, Queen of Scots, complained in 1576. Mice fall from the sky. Mind suffers, body suffers, language suffers. Thinking urge greater than any other. Bugs in throat in the dead of night. What's past is yours in the vectors of joy.
Another squeak toy. And we have, I got this for Harry last Halloween. He really liked this one. Glow-in-the-dark tombstone stickers. Stickers that he got in his Rice Krispies. Fish card game, war card game, hearts card game, crazy eights. Those empty pill bottles that he usually kept pot in.
Fantasies, magics, all come from the child to work its will on the giants. Then it grows up to be a giant itself. And then there is still the whole goddamn universe. It's never enough, is it?
Cards and gypsy fortune
The
telling
poet
cards.
you hardly knew looks dear and old like you, not like you, but old like you, and dear to you on the cover of his
One
Kings.
of his friends blocked it.
Not like thin, dark, pea-coated figure glimpsed from a cab this spring strode past Brompton Oratory, large takeout, coffee in hand, his double from half a lifetime ago. And the closet full of magical toys shrank to old shoebox of objects broken and shoddy. Now having neither, you have both.
These are cigarettes.
Slowly they
Packs
walk
that
across the
someone
sunny
there.
parking
I
lot.
think this is the same person who
They
did that.
are your friends.
Mailbox. And here we have a
Mad as Cassandra, who was as sane as the lot of them.
big
In the
box.
footsteps of Jesus, Tom and Jerry, perfect their running in air trick, proceed at speed off edge of cliff, perform your mid-air miracles,
And
then
here's
plummet,
an old
backpedal,
lady.
hover, and soar over America.
Garfield Odie Maid card deck. Then we have the Old Maid card game, plus rules for concentration. Then we have the Old Maid card deck. Then we have the Old Maid card deck. Then we have the Old Maid card deck. Then we have the Giant Old Maid card deck. Card size 3.5 by 5 3/4. Then we have the Jumbo Old Maid card game.
I'd hate to say it's like haiku, but it is. Don't do that, you might be a Russian spy. The Cold War is over. It's a myth. It turns into 4 trees as we dissect Aztec brains next week. Through here, the notion of the twin heroes is symmetrically disposed. Its branches. Maybe we're looking at ourselves. If everything's hallucination, it's hard to say just where this took place.
I don't know what symbol that is. Death in Moralaga, funeral ritual in a Spanish Basque village. I think this is some Buddhist dog.
I don't think anyone's ever complained about anything. The plant was there. They wanted me to sit on the head float of the Indian Day Parade. The Tlingit have been saving souls for thousands of years and are now using them rapidly to avoid their falling into the hands of so-called white people. And it's led to an increase in potlatching.
He bit the hand that fed him. He almost killed Alan Ginsberg several times. You know, I mean, he couldn't stand Alan for years. He wouldn't talk to him. He wouldn't let him come into his room at the Chelsea. I mean, even up to his last day, he wouldn't return any of his calls for certain things. He wouldn't do. He did the same thing to me, even though I was his best bud and his main helper for years.
I decided to rope this off from the upper Amazon because it was over Freudian. Yeah, houses tend to have eyes and mouths. Be sure to take any personal property with you.
Harry Smith died November 27th at the Chelsea Hotel, New York. It is difficult to know where to
Harry
begin
reading
discussing
in his
Harry
little
Smith.
wool
Even his
cap.
origins are a bit mysterious. He was probably
Shot,
born
he'd
in
come in all the time, and
1923
he'd
to
just
an
be
Oregon
sitting there
family
reading all hours of the
after
night,
Freemasonry and
you know,
occultism.
morning, noon, night, whatever book he got, he'd come back and read the whole thing.
Smith developed his
For
lifelong
years,
interest in
Harry
the
always
early
gave
age.
Alan, you know, part of the time he couldn't stand him, but I knew he had a real deep respect for him. And, you know, Alan felt the same way for him and, you know, for Harry. And Alan was the one who really did take care of him and rescued him out of, you know, whatever horrible places he was staying at, and people, you know, you Ghanaian street market guys were dying left and right, you know, next to him.
If only we'd known what we were doing. Harry always considered himself more a painter than a filmmaker.
Photo number
The
3.
distinctions were
This
sometimes
is Harry
unique.
in front of his
He created the
house
first
that we're now
frame-by-frame
filming in,
hand-painted films in
and
America in the early 1940s.
he was
He was among the
very
first
cheerful in
American
his shot,
artists
and
to deliberately
you know, a lot of times he wouldn't let his picture be shown or taken, and this was just the opposite. And this was the woman Beth Boris, who was the queen at our little show, Harry's king and queen. My friend Christy, who was a heroin addict for years, and Harry helped her a lot with that, and we spent a lot of time with the 3 of us together, and the 4 of us. It was a wonderful night.
Harry always considered himself more
This
a painter
is
than a
Allen
filmmaker.
Ginsberg's
His distinctions
63rd
were
birthday,
sometimes
and
He
it was
created
held at
the
Ann
first
Waldman's
frame-by-frame
father's
hand-painted
house.
films in
This is
America in the
Alan's
early
brother.
1940s. He
This
was
is
among the
Jacqueline
first American
Jens,
artists to
Alan's
exhibit
assistant.
around
She works for Alan now in New York, and she lived here in
Marcel
Boulder.
Duchamp.
Here
He
is
spent years living
Alan and
among
Harry.
American Indian tribes, particularly
That's that
recording
shot.
Kiowa peyote rituals on folkway records, and
It's
amassed
a
an
similar
important collection
shot.
of sacred Indian religious ritual objects, now in a
And we
museum in
have
Stockholm.
The whole crew again.
His other
This
collections
is Robert
include
Frank,
his books, among
who
the
was
largest,
there.
finest
That's
private
my dad
libraries
in a
in Europe,
turban,
and a
and Alan was
fantastic
taking
collection of
pictures
Ukrainian painted
constantly of
masquerades.
my dad the
He
whole
even
time.
amassed what was undoubtedly the world's largest collection of paper
Yeah.
airplanes.
This
For
is a
40
nice shot.
years as he found one, and he found
Alan
them
and
everywhere.
Harry
He would note the date and
posing
place
for the
and file
camera.
it away. By the early 1980s, he had no less than a dozen large boxes. The Smithsonian Air Space Museum
But a lot of times he
sent a
wouldn't let
special
people in.
courier
I mean,
when
up
he
to his
donated
death
the
at the
collection.
Chelsea and here, he would not
He
let
spent
people in
years
at all.
befriending and
But if you
recording
had
early
pot, you
American
were
folk
welcome
and
to
blues
leave it at the
musicians.
door.
And in the
And
early
even then you could come
1950s,
in.
issued his
Was he a connoisseur?
multi-volume
Oh,
anthology
yes,
of
oh, yes.
American
Yeah,
folk
okay.
music.
Oh yeah,
on
on his
folkways
last
records.
day actually,
Look for the "Do What Thou Wilt" in
he
the liner
had
notes.
he was very sick, and he took out all these joints. Here, smoke this. I'm like, Harry, I don't want to smoke pot. You know, I've no need. He goes, okay, well, do you have that good Colorado stuff on you? Like, Harry, you're about to keel over forget the good Colorado pot. No, I really want the good stuff. You take this stuff. And so I actually filled him a bowl of Colorado pot, and he took one hit, and he was just coughing incredibly, and there was a copious amounts of blood. And he was like, "That's the good stuff, all right. I just wanted some of the good stuff." But yeah, he was a voracious pot smoker, and we smoke all the time. But the Surrealist lecture was, he kept, the whole time, he kept flipping from one page to the other page, going back and forth, losing himself. I mean, he really, everybody was looking around nervously like, what is this guy doing? No one could believe it. He was making no sense whatsoever. He was very nervous, and he'd move a sticky note and come back to the page, and it was just, it was.
He was a black magician. He chose a form which is aside from how you think of it in relationship to Christianity. Or
So Harry was into black magic?
It was a form that sought to have power on earth, made the Faustian bargain again and again in order to achieve that through rituals that did not stop at blood. Well, he almost killed me. You gotta help me. I got a check this morning in the mail from Alan, but his letter made me so angry that I tore it to pieces.
This one is very good. Let's go to another photo. Quintessential shot of Harry rolling joints and smoking pot.
Buddhas are able to take the pain because pain does not
Wrote
exist.
on each airplane where he found them, the date he found them.
Botched
This
teeth.
one is under
Dr.
boardroom
Weber says
window,
they'll eat into my
2110
brain.
Arapahoe, 9/1990.
Mentholated laugh at the end of a cigarette. But how many drags to finish that thought? A next con. Arcana
Pearl Street
in the
Mall,
breeze.
between
The
11
last
and
Navajo,
12,
last Mohawk
9589.
Iroquois stand in the shadow of grinning, rotting corpse. I sat on the mushroom on the margins of the corporate world.
The
Record
South
the sounds
Sidewalk,
in the bardo,
9/17/89.
speed you on the way. He hears coughing on the tape he records
8:30
every time
a.m.,
I say the word suffering at the Dharma talk.
Road
It comes
opposite
from the left side of the room, and it's mostly women.
Naropa,
Forays to the Chelsea
9:15,
Hotel,
89.
it's 1974 now, to see you hold the demons at bay. Cute wand, reels of tape, what goes on between those phonemes you note and experience? What pause, tick, jerk, pang, dwell here? Smoke screen, what notch, twitch, tidbit, makeshift table? The chairs are always awkward here. Comfort is not the game. No hid place, no rest. Live at the edge of a seat. Perch, blast, explore the radio. The small animals at the gate. Push the button to hear the ambience of any Buddha field. Start tasting your own death. Spit, nurse, subvert, hug no one. Pitch the door, light go out. And we stood, I remember distinctly, at the corner of 12th and Avenue A, mucus running out of your mouth. It's winter, and I look into your eyes, mischievous as ever. What to do about you? Take you home with me? You're going back, you say, to record the sounds of the dying men.
It's like saying that all humans have heads on them. The idea of having a head migrated. A thing that's quite amazing among the American people is the lack of real creation stories. I'm going to go into that a little later. They can be very elaborate without. One of the simplest ones is given by Blackwell, who says that when he describes where people came from, they suddenly came to on the drafts, like after you've been unconscious for a while, you come to. They just came to when the whole world was created. Here, where we're living, the Arapaho would have had the notion that this entire area was, of course, covered in water, and somebody named Coyote, who was probably not a coyote, that was just his name, was up on the Flatiron. Said, this is the place.
When I got off the elevator, I could smell Harry, and I was like, I didn't even have to look which way the room was. I could smell him, and it's the smell of cigarettes and pot and his body odor. This weird body smell.
And, so I went over and got this encyclopedia from the top of the piano at Steve's Ice Cream, and it was K through L, and everything I opened it to, Harry knew everything about. It was an old encyclopedia. And there was a band that was popular at the time called the Kilkenny Cats, and I opened till Kilkenny, and I said, Harry, have you ever heard of the Kilkenny Cats? And he said, yeah, there were two cats from Kilkenny, and they fought and they fought and they fought and they fought, and now there isn't any.